Good evening to everyone. I am J.I Martinez, Research Assistant of the Energy and Climate Change Research Group at Tecnológico de Monterrey in Mexico, and former master student. At the research group, we have been modeling the dispersion of pollutants. Alongside my former advisor, Dr. Jose Ignacio Huertas, we will present the results of our work entitled Effects of Atmospheric Stability Conditions on the Dispersion of Pollutants Near Roads.
My name is Jose Huertas. I'm full-time professor at Tecnológico Monterrey. I work for the Mechanical Engineering Department and for the Energy and Climate Change Research Group. It's a pleasure for us to share with you guys our most recent results.
As a short introduction, the European Union has reported that at least 25% of the emissions in cities are generated by vehicles. The principal pollutants are carbon monoxide and dioxide, nitrogen oxides, and particulate matter, which have been reported to directly affect the health of the population with activities near roads. We have divided our research line in three main tasks. The first one is to advance in the study of the dispersion of pollutants phenomena near roads, then to understand the effects of these microscale phenomena in the regional scale and at a long term, and finally design and evaluate control and mitigation alternatives to reduce the pollutant concentrations. We also have been advancing in this third topic, and the results are presented in another video in this web conference. The objective of this study is to determine the effects of the different atmospheric stability conditions on the pollutants dispersion near roads using CFD. Aiming to determine the effects of the atmospheric stability conditions, we will reproduce the atmospheric dynamics by solving the government equations, which are continuity or conservation of mass, momentum or Newton's second law, and the energy equation, which is the first law of thermodynamics. Remembering that a turbulence model should be added in order to close the system and approximate the solution. In this slide, we are presenting the methodology followed for this study. First, we select a 3D domain which is homogeneous on the horizontal plane. Then, we obtain the wind speed and temperature profiles for 5 different stability conditions based on the Monod-Nabucco similarity theory, which are extremely stable, slightly stable, neutral, slightly unstable, and extremely unstable. It is important to remark that the neutral stability condition is going to be considered as the base case. As stated before, in order to close the system, we add the Reynolds average Navier-Stokes K epsilon model, which has 2 equations to the system. The first one for the turbulence kinetic energy, and the second one is for the turbulence dissipation rate. This model offers an accurate solution at a low computational cost. Here, we are presenting the values for each constant used to reproduce the atmospheric stability conditions. Finally, in the results post-processing, we perform dimensional analysis obtaining 2 principal variables, which are dimensionless concentration and dimensionless distance to the road. As is shown in this slide, the dimensionless concentration already accounts for the effects of the wind speed and the measured concentration in the downwind distance, meaning that the difference shown in the next section will be attributed only to the atmospheric stability condition. Then, we compare the results to the base case using correlation analysis to account for the difference between atmospheric stability conditions. Moving to the results section, we first present a comparison between the Idaho Falls experiment and our results in CFD. This Idaho Falls experiment is perhaps the most known study that accounts for atmospheric stability conditions and was performed by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration back in 2008 and then reported by Finn et al. In 2009. As is shown in these figures, when comparing the results in dimensional variables, we can observe that the 2 lines collapse in one. And on the figure of the right, we which present a correlation between the experiments, the slope is equal to 1, meaning that the CFD results reproduce the experiment with a high correlation. In this figure, we can observe the difference in concentrations for total suspended particles for the five different atmospheric stability conditions. The highlight is that when the atmospheric is in an extremely stable condition, the concentration is higher, especially in the distance close to the road. Something similar is presented when we change the emission from total suspended particles to gas phase pollutants. We can observe that the maximum concentration is presented when the atmosphere is in an extremely stable condition. Finally, we perform the correlation analysis between our base case and the different stability conditions. As we remember, we are presenting all the results on dimensionless concentration, and the difference presented in this correlation analysis is due to the different atmospheric stability conditions and not to the wind speed variation. As final remarks, we found high correlation between the different stability conditions and our base case, which was the neutral stability condition. The following table presents a summary of our results for both total suspended particle and gas phase pollutants. We can highlight that the maximum concentration of both pollutants is when the atmosphere presents an extremely stable case, and the minimum concentration is when is presented when the atmosphere is in a slightly unstable condition. As part of the conclusion, it's important to mention that this model does not account for chemical reaction, vehicle-induced turbulence, nor aerosol dynamics, and that this model is only valid for flat terrains, and that this NRCFD model presents high levels of correlation when compared to experimental external data, meaning that the C star or a dimensionless concentration reproduce the dispersion phenomenon. Thank you for your attention. And if you have any inquiry, please do not hesitate in contacting us. Thank you.